Thanks for joining me on this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also be sure to follow me on these other social media platforms. Links are in the description below. All right, have and have not fans, we are back at it again with the episode The Black Man just aired. And hey, I'm just recording this video here. I will say that I feel like I was more entertained this episode than I was in last week's episode. I don't think that it was yeah, it was definitely better than last week. But let's just pick up where we left off. Okay, I took some notes here because I'm not gonna lie, the episode did start kind of slow, at least during the first 20 to 30 minutes, but then it really picked up in the second half. But here we go. Basically, Jim and Austin had walked in on Justin and Wyatt. Jim gets into a brawl with Justin, very impressive brawl. What I loved the most about it wasn't the actual fight. It was the fact that Wyatt's sitting over there laughing his head off, but I'm just laughing to myself. I'm like, Wyatt, what are you laughing at? Jim is holding his own much better than you did when Justin came over to your condo. It's like, I think you got in a couple of punches after you like threw each other over like the chair or the couch or the lazy boy or whatever. It was a chair. That's how he dropped the crowbar, and then Justin was beating the crap out of Wyatt until Jim showed up. In this case, it looked pretty even, but then Jim was getting the upper hand and was beating him down until that the sheriff came in. And am I the only one that thought that sheriff or chief, whatever you call it, that black guy, he looked a lot like Warlock, if you ask me. I know that's not Warlock, but he favored him a lot in the face. And I was disappointed that the beatdown scene was so short. I was hoping it would be a little bit longer, you know? Then we get to the, well, actually, before Jim goes into the office, he sits down with Wyatt. I mean, Austin was ready. He's like, hey, here's the paperwork. You can sign it. We're ready to go. And I'm like, thank goodness Jim is slowing this operation down, because what would be the point of getting Wyatt right out of jail if he would just go back to doing the same crap he was doing before? It would be pretty useless. I mean, I was just waiting for him to shut the hell up, because at this point, I even did a video earlier today about why he gets out of jail. Look at the fact that he could either go back to his jail cell and potentially be killed by Sal Malone. If Jim didn't walk in, he would have, in order to get some drugs. And then what, I mean, let's think about it. Even if he gets his fix from Justin, he'll just be put back into the cell unless Justin purposely moves him into another cell where Sal isn't, just for Wyatt to once again need his fix. And then he'll probably do even more to Justin in order to get what he needs. Hypothetically speaking, let's say he did do what Justin wanted. The next time he needs a fix, Justin will want him to do more. That's pretty much how he would operate. I feel that Wyatt is just an ungrateful bastard, and his storyline is pretty much the same. That's the one, and I don't want to get into a full rant on this, but that'll probably be its own video. I'm just sick of these characters not growing. It's like, how many times do they have to screw up, lose everything, almost lose their life, but they still don't even change? That goes for Veronica, Candice, Wyatt. That's the one thing I will give this episode props for, is that people were calling them out for their shit. Jim calling out Wyatt, Jeffrey calling out Veronica, Hannah calling out Candice. It was actually pretty good. It was actually really good. And then Amanda was name dropped. That was pretty interesting. Basically, I get it. You're hurting, but your coping mechanism isn't doing you any good, Wyatt. So luckily enough, Jim was holding it together well. Jim was definitely the MVP of this episode in my book. And the way he just took charge, basically getting the information, was that cop trying to trade a sexual favor for drugs. Then he left, went to the office, and then I do think it's kind of dumb how they couldn't have searched Justin on the spot. But then again, I don't really know the law like that. But the fact that I find it interesting how Justin had no problem opening his zipper, but he clearly had a problem with emptying his pockets. So as my video stated, he did get suspended. Not fired, but suspended. And good thing I do those videos. So guys, once again, be sure to spread the channel around and get people to subscribe, because these theories are on point, I'm telling you. Basically that guy says, hey, you know what? He'll feel the full weight of the consequences for his actions. Leave it to me. I doubt that's going to mean anything, because of the fact that Justin has way too many enemies at this point. So I hope I hope Pearl shows up again. You know Pearl's going to hear about this, so hopefully that happens soon, okay? Then we go to Wyatt. Excuse me. Then Jim and Wyatt step outside the jail. Jim, once again, he is not taking any of Wyatt's shit. I love how where you going to go, Wyatt? And that pretty much answers the question that I brought up in my other video. Okay, Wyatt doesn't have any money, but he did buy the condo with cash, so I don't think he pays rent. But what about like electric and stuff like that? Well, Jim already has it locked up and back on the market. Remember, he owned the property that Wyatt bought, so that's why he was able to shut it down so easily. Put his ass in the car, and then they drove off. My gosh, that was really good. That was really good. So Jim pretty much just controlled the first portion of this episode. Then we go to RK visiting Candice's Candice's hotel room. We get a little more backstory on RK, the fact that his mother was a crackhead and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, he still loved her. Who on this show doesn't have mommy problems? Sheesh. I mean, Candice growing up with Hannah, Jeffrey with Veronica, Wyatt with his folks, and now RK's mom a crackhead. And RK pretty much being the voice of reason, why not just talk to your mom? Doesn't it remind you of that time Oscar convinced or suggested that Candice go down to the prison to talk with Quincy way back in season 3? Remember that? And again, everybody's calling out Candice on her crap about this is my money. And it's just like, well, you know, if my mom had $8 million of mine in the bank, I'd beat her ass with a baseball bat. So my biggest takeaway from that scene was Candice going through her phone, looking through old contacts, pretty much stating that most of the people that she didn't know, used to know or work with Warlock, or moved over from her allegiance over to Warlock's now that he's dead, so her options are slim. Pretty much Candice is like Jim. Remember when Catherine was like, your name has been shit in this town since the whole collapse of you running for governor. So Candice is in the same boat, no allies or anything. So pretty much, you know, she's trying to assemble a gang. So pretty much Candice has gone from escort to law student to, escort to law student to millionaire. Remember after she took the 7.4 million from Jim, then she lost it all, obviously. Then of course moved over to pimping, and now she's going to be a gangbanger. Wow, this is a great resume, Candice. What a lead up to the possible next first lady. My gosh. Yeah. But in any case, moving on, the FBI talks with David. David's finally sitting up. His back looks a bit ashy at this point, like a giant scab. So, ew. Not much to say on this scene. The FBI pretty much saying that, hey, your son said your wife did it. And then David's like, yeah, she did. FBI says, pretty much reassuring that they'll find out something on her, but David is pretty much like, look, I know my wife, she's smart, she's an attorney, so good luck finding any tracks that she left behind, which I doubt she did. So pretty much once again solidifying the fact that Veronica's never going to get her comeuppance at any point. Not to get into the preview for next week, but even David is talking with Jeffrey about it. It doesn't matter. Even if she gets in jail, she's going to find a way out. So I'll say that for my trailer breakdown. So it is a bit disappointing. Then, you know, David talking about how, you know, hey, I used to be in love. She was the love of my life, and it's come to this. So obviously, once again, the fact that it took all this for him to finally confess to the cops what was going down, because as the FBI agent stated, there are 2 police reports where your wife came over and, you know, threatened you and whatnot. What was it? When she broke the window with the brick, when she came over and, wrecked like the glass table, then of course when she set the 2 vehicles on fire. So yeah, I mean, I get it, like David confessing then really wouldn't have done much, but maybe it would have stopped things from getting to the level that it is now. Because one of the more gruesome facts of the episode was that Erica was burned alive. I mean, it wasn't just like a one and done it where the explosion occurred and she died. No, she literally was alive while she was being burned to death, and that left the corpse that we saw. So very, very creepy. Okay, then we get to Jim bringing Wyatt to Catherine's house. He has 2 guys there. I believe the names were Leo and Mac. Don't know if they're Malones. I'm going to assume they're not, due to the fact that Jim is not on good terms with the Malones, so they must be associates he was able to whip together. And they're pretty much going to be watching Wyatt's every movement. And once again, the ungrateful brat doesn't, again, a throwback here, doesn't Wyatt being brought back home by Jim and being welcomed back by Catherine after she comes down the stairs, only to receive a cold shoulder from the child. Doesn't that remind you of the time where, and then Wyatt going up to his room, doesn't that remind you of season 2 when Jim brought Amanda back from Candice's apartment, and they go through the front door, Catherine comes down the stairs saying, "Welcome home, Amanda," and then, of course, she is not happy at all. Then she runs up to her room. All I'm saying is this: I hope those two guys watch out so nobody gets shot in the middle of the night. I'm getting some season 2 vibes here. This is not going to end up too good. That's all I'm saying. Then Catherine is literally going in on Jim, and I loved every second of it. Pretty much going over the investigation. Jim wants to follow up on Hannah giving the money back. And what was funny about that scene was the fact that Catherine was about to leave Jim for Broderick. She was going to see a real man while Jim was left on the sofa with his photograph. Oh, excuse me, not photographs, but photographs of the horror. So there was a scene where they did a close up of the photo, but I actually missed it because I was tweeting. So I'll go back and check that later. Let's see here. Justin once again follows Jeffrey in that raggedy ass truck. Nothing much to say on this scene that I didn't say in the preview. Jeffrey calling out Wyatt on his bullshit, like he knows that calling out Justin on his bullshit about Wyatt, telling, what's up with this show? These characters do not know how to lie. Early on, when Justin was trying to cover up what he was really doing with Wyatt, now trying to convince Jeffrey that Wyatt was trying to seduce him for drugs. Yeah, bad liar. And Jeffrey ain't having like, hey, get the hell out of here. So he's gone. And then he walks in the house, and I asked the question, how long was Veronica sitting in there? My gosh. Like what if Jeffrey didn't leave the hospital? I mean, given the fact that Veronica does know every single one of Jeffrey's moves, technically she could anticipate that he would be coming back to the house, but just sitting in the dark on that ugly ass couch. And I'm not going to get too much into the scene because I did that video about, is Veronica the Monique of the haves and the have-nots? And there was a clip released earlier today about the speech she gave about the black man, hence the title. Pretty much about, it's hard to find a good black man, yada, yada, yada. But that speech aside, Jeffrey called her out on the bullshit, and I loved it. The fact that you're the problem. It's not that he's not a good black man. It's the fact that you're a bitch. And honestly, I have nothing else to say about that scene. It was beautifully written. Jeffrey did his thing, and I loved it. He pretty much shut Justin down. He pretty much shut Veronica up. But the biggest takeaway is the fact that she was like, well, in my 20s, in my 30s, David led the way. But in my 40s, I'm like, no, I want to take charge. And he felt intimidated by that. I'm calling bull crap on that right now, but whatever. I mean, and it goes back to, this is my house. And again, Jeffrey pretty much broke it down like, hey, he bought this house for you two, but given the fact that you just left and got your own house after you burnt the first one down, that's why he moved Erica in, because he was about to put it back on the market. So I've been saying this way back since like May 1st during the episode Veronica's House. Why are people saying that Veronica belongs in that house, that's her house, when David clearly stated in like the first or second episode of 2018 to Erica, the house is back on the market. I was about to put it back on the market due to the fact that I bought it for me and my wife because this was the house she always wanted, but we never reconciled and got things together. So I was about to sell it because it's too big for two people unless you want to stay, meaning that Veronica fucked herself. I have nothing else to say about that. It's stupid. Stop blaming everybody for your problems. Same thing with Justin and Candice, but I'll get to those people later. And Veronica's coming back, and I do believe that Jeffrey will throw her ass down the stairs, and I'm going to love every second of it. Anyway, let's see here. The biggest takeaway from this scene: Veronica saw Justin's truck. And I'm pretty sure that means she remembers that as the same vehicle that tried to run her and Melissa off the road. So keep that nugget in the back of your mind for the next few episodes here. Then we get back to the house of Hannah. Hannah and Derrick finished eating breakfast. Derrick wanted to put the dishes in the kitchen, but she's like, no. Cops coming soon. Don't leave any more fingerprints. I mean, she didn't sound like that, but I'm just paraphrasing. Basically, Those two sit on the couch and talk. A really good moment. It makes me more suspicious of Derrick because the more I start to like his character, the more suspicious I begin to think of him. I don't even care about the whole him being Candice's father thing anymore because I'm just more interested in figuring out his past to begin with. His past taught him to be patient. Very cute scene between him and Hannah, after a couple of kisses. No, I'm waiting until I get married. And I'm not going to say that I'm slightly annoyed by that, but it's just like, really? I mean, really? The whole episode, I was waiting for Benny to wake up because Derrick was like, no, let Benny sleep for like another hour. But nah, that wasn't it. They had a cute scene of dirty talk where it sounded more like PG-13 than actually R-rated dirty talk. So that was again, it was just an overall good scene. Not much to break down, but that's a good thing. I just love the dynamic between those two. Then the devil shows up, and I was thinking the whole time, oh my God, Candice and Derrick, are they going to meet? They met. I'm not disappointed, but I'm just glad those two met. I like it. Hey, I'm Derrick David, and I'm going to wait outside. Hannah just called out again. Just beautiful characters calling out others on their bullshit. Jim with Justin, Jeffrey with Veronica, and now we got Hannah with Candice. I just love how the demon came out. It's like, look, Hannah. It's like, oh, there she go. And honestly, pretty much the biggest takeaway of that conversation was Hannah saying exactly what I've been saying, as many fans were saying, like, we thought your son dying would be the catalyst, or let me break it. Ain't no need of that word. The trigger for you to switch your life around, but it's not. Even RK brought it up, the fact that your mom did everything she could. I don't think that she was the one that was the cause for your son dying. Even then, Candice was breaking it down like, hey, I know you went to speak with Warlock with me. And again, all true. Hannah was just curious how she knew these things, and Benny told her. And then we get to the point where the beast comes out, and Hannah figures out that Candice pretty much sent Malik over there. And now she's threatening to send somebody every night. And there is that one scene from that extended look or exclusive look we got where Hannah's like, someone help me. And that means that somebody's probably going to be sent over to Hannah's house that night. That is not going to be good. That is not going to be good at all. So, again, that goes back to the video I did last night. If Hannah gives the money back to the criers, what exactly is Candice going to do? Are you just going to continue to send people over to attack Hannah, knowing there's nothing she could do about it? It's stupid ass shit. I'm done. Then we end the episode with Broderick and Catherine, and nothing much to say. I thought it was a good scene. You know what I love the most? The fact that after one or two kisses, Hannah was like, Derrick, no, we're moving too fast. And I'm thinking to myself, if only the plot would move as fast. But, she pretty much put an end to that. Then they kissed a couple more times. But when it came to Broderick and Catherine, it was one kiss. Next thing you know, that was it. That folder tossed on the ground. His blazer, she took it off. Then they were on the we gotta get these off. Like, took his pants off, and that was it. And that, her shirt was open, and that was the end of the episode. Guys, aside from the bullshit, I'm sorry to curse so much, but I didn't curse in this video as much as they did in the episode. I just love how there were a lot of what was it? Jim, Hannah, and Jeffrey weren't taking anybody's shit, and I love that. It was the fact that they just took control of their situations, and I loved it. I'm going to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10, just because I'm sick of the non-changing characters within Justin, Wyatt, and Candice. It's just annoying as hell, but I just love that Jim, Hannah, and Jeffrey were able to take control of their situations, and I loved it. The fact that Hannah doesn't want anything to happen to Candice, but the fact she's up there lying like a dog. But unlike Benny's dumbass, Hannah saw through that. And with Jeffrey, he just stood his ground against Justin and Veronica back to back. But I still think the MVP of this episode is Jim Cry. He really brought the first portion of this episode home for me. And I love how Catherine kind of switched it up. It's like, look, here's your autographs, and I'm going to go see a real man. And then he looked at the phone, like, who is Roderick? So that was that. But yeah, Look out for my episode preview trailer breakdown. I might actually do it tonight. I know promises, but I might try to do it tonight. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. The channel has hit over 9 million views tonight. Well, actually not 9 million views today, but tonight the channel hit over 9 million views. I cannot thank you all enough for that. Hopefully we'll be hitting the 50,000 subscriber mark here soon. And yeah, I can't tell you all how grateful I am. But thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, I need to get this video up fast because I do believe that Black Lightning and The Flash return to the CW tonight. So I'm probably going to be up late watching them. But let me know your thoughts on The Black Man. I think it was a definite improvement over last week. Definite improvement. Next week's trailer looks pretty good except for dumbass Benny again. But be on the lookout for that breakdown. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. And it was fun to follow me on Twitter. Had great fun tonight talking with a lot of you all on Twitter.